Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, Arctic. Today's video, we're going to be going over a complete sub-DPS guide for the Raiden Shogun. Now, I don't think this is her best way to actually build her. However, this is a somewhat viable way to build her, at least for mainly just a support and a sub-DPS type of a character. I will be covering the best artifact choice for this type of a build, and also the best weapon choice for this type of build, and all the weapons are going to be more so leaning towards the energy recharge stat, and also like substats like EM, something like that. But if you are new to the channel, remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So before we get into talking about what artifact sets to choose and what weapons to choose, we first need to understand what parts of Baal's kit makes her a good sub-DPS. The thing that makes her stand out the most as a sub-DPS type of a character is going to be her elemental skill. It does basically do like a coordinated attack. You can think of that pretty much like a C6 Fischl in a way. I don't think it's quite as fast, I believe. You can probably look up the specifics of that yourself. But yes, this skill is going to last 25 seconds, and it's also going to be on a cooldown of 12 seconds, so you can pretty much spam this quite a bit if you guys want to get a little bit of damage out of the elemental skill, something like that. It'll definitely be good for like things like an electro charged comp, and so we're going to be looking at some artifacts and weapons that would work good in electro charged comps, and also some other comps as well. This is kind of a mixture between running Baal in an electro charged team comp, and also running her as a sub-DPS slash burst support. Thunder Fury set is probably going to be a relatively good set for this. It's going to give you an extra 15% electro damage bonus, and it also increases the damage caused by overloaded, electro charged, and superconduct with its 4-piece. I would recommend the 4-piece if you are going for an electro charged team comp, using Baal to trigger these type of reactions with her elemental skill. It could work pretty good. The skill cooldown reduction isn't really that valuable because her elemental skill does have basically 100% uptime. It doesn't go down at all. But yeah, like, this secondary part of this isn't as reliable. However, you basically have got this good boost to electrocharge, superconduct, and overloaded damage, so it kind of can work as a sub-DPS capability. However, I still would recommend running a 2-piece Thunder Fury and like 2-piece of some of these other sets I'm going to talk about. Another set that a 2-piece of it could work pretty good is going to be the Wanderer's Troop set. It'll give you an extra bit of elemental mastery, so if you are going for some elemental reactions, this could work pretty good. However, I still think that the 4-piece of the Thunder Fury would outperform this just in general, just because of how elemental mastery works, but you'd have to see with how the elemental mastery buffs have actually affected the characters and elements like energy recharge, that kind of things. The set that's going to be the best, though, is going to be the Tenacity of the Millith set. This one's 4-piece is really going to be kind of valuable for in general team support. It doesn't really give you any more extra damage on the elemental skill. However, this is going to be a pretty good item for like support capabilities as well, especially if you are using like a Zhongli perhaps. This will basically put off this and give him some extra shield strength, and it also increases attack by party members by 20%. What's nice about this is since your elemental skill does coordinated attacks, it's basically going to be constantly triggering, and it's gonna last for a good bit right here. And yeah, the duration on this is like 3 seconds, but you're activating it like every 0.3 seconds, 0.5 seconds. So basically you're going to have constant uptime this if you have Baal's elemental skill up. If you do have a Staff of Homa, this won't actually be that bad of a set to run a 4-piece on if you guys want to go for more of a support build. Yeah, this is definitely pair well with Staff of Homa. You'll get a good mix of like damage on your like burst, that kind of stuff, auto attacks. I would definitely recommend the set with Staff of Homa. Speaking of Staff of Homa, yeah, basically the HP is going to be increased by 20%, and you get this attack bonus based on your HP. And so yeah, it's going to end up being a very valuable weapon if you are running her as a sub-DPS. I feel like you're not necessarily going to get the most damage in terms of using Baal as a main damage dealer. However, this will still get you a lot of damage just because of its crit stat right here. And yeah, I think it will be one of the best weapons for sub-DPS Baal. Vanquisher can also work with Tenacity of the Millith set. As far as I know, this works off the field. I'm not sure though. If it does, like, you're going to get a lot of attack bonus from this, and especially if you are running her with like a Zhongli or Diona, you'll be able to get this shield uptime, which will be very nice for this weapon's passive. And yeah, it does come with attack percent, so it's going to be a pretty good weapon to build around, and so I think it'll be one of the better options. Not quite as synergized as Staff of Homa with the Tenacity sets, However, I think it's still a very good option. Tane Cross Spear, this one is actually going to be probably the best, I would say, in terms of sub DPS capabilities if you are going to use like a free-to-play weapon, or you don't want your Staff of Homa used on her as a support. And so what this does is increase your elemental skill damage by 6%, and then after your skill hits an opponent, the character loses 3 energy but regenerates 3 energy for the next 2 seconds. So basically you get like, I think 6 or maybe 9 energy, but you're losing 3 energy, so you're effectively getting 6 energy. And it can occur once every 10 seconds, so about the time it takes to recast your elemental skill. And this also does have a high base attack and some elemental mastery, so you are going to be getting more out of an electrocharged team comp with this. It could be actually pretty good then. Lance is more so of a burst support kind of weapon, although it can be pretty decent. However, its passive doesn't trigger when you're off the field, which is a little bit sad. I was actually planning on using one of these if they did actually trigger off the field on like my official or something. I think official has like sacrificial bow, something like that, or Favonius warbow. That could have actually been really cool if they did have it to where it triggers off the field. Sadly, it doesn't. But this is going to allow you to regenerate your burst like very, very fast. It has a high base attack, so it's not that bad to build around, and also it has 30% energy recharge, so it supplements a build pretty well. Overall, I wouldn't really recommend this for like a sub DPS elemental skill damage necessary, but it would be pretty decent to use in terms of your actual overall build if you are using her more of as a burst support. Bane is kind of in a weird spot in terms of its usability in an electrocharge comp. At least in terms of having Baal as a main DPS, I don't think this would work good as her if you're using her as like a DPS. However, I think this would be good if you're exclusively using her as like a elemental skill user, basically keeping that elemental skill triggering reactions. And so what this does, it increases your damage against opponents affected by Hydro or Pyro. So this technically could be used in like an overload comp as well, other than electrocharge. However, I think keeping Hydro on enemies is a little bit easier than keeping Pyro on enemies at some times in the game. And yeah, this one comes with a lot of elemental mastery, so you are going to get pretty good reaction damage as long as you're triggering reactions. So overall, not a bad weapon, but the reason why I would not use this is because its base attack is so extremely low. Like, you're really missing out on a lot of burst damage, so I would say you'd be better off using like the Tane Cross Spear. I think that's a way better option. As long as you guys end up making it to Inazuma and doing whatever quests for that, yeah, you have access to that pretty easily. Deathmatch, I think, also has a very good place in this sub DPS category, partially because as a sub DPS you're going to want to get a lot of consistent damage and as much uptime as you possibly can. And what Deathmatch does is it basically gives you this attack bonus and defense bonus based on how many enemies are near you. And so yeah, like I think when you're off the field it always gives you this 24% attack bonus, or it might not give you any of the stat bonus right here if you're not mainly on the field, which kind of would suck just because like this weapon has a low base attack anyway, but its crit rate stat is going to give you a lot of crit rate, so you could run like a crit damage hat. And yeah, if you are like using not very good artifacts, yeah, this one would be perfectly fine to use, and overall relatively decent on her as well. But yeah, that's basically it for how to use her as a sub DPS and kind of a burst support, you know. I didn't really cover the more specific burst weapons like the catch. That is going to be a new free weapon potentially in 2.1. I didn't cover that or her new spear. However, like both of those can be pretty good options for burst support. And yeah, basically I just wanted to cover how to use her elemental skill a little bit more, and how to use her as a support more so actually than a main DPS. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I will see you guys next time. Farewell.